The spill Maya Rivera's brush hovered over the small canvas balanced on her knees, her eyes flicking between the cafe's morning rush and her half-finished painting. The early sunlight streamed through Bluebird Cafe's windows, illuminating the dancing dust particles and warming her corner spot where she'd been sketching since dawn. "Maya, order up for table 7. Sophia, the manager, called from behind the counter. With a sigh, Maya carefully set aside her work. Waitressing wasn't her passion, but it paid the bills while she chased her artistic dreams. She smoothed her apron, tucked a wayward curl behind her ear, and lifted the tray of drinks. "Coming!" she called, navigating the maze of tables with practiced ease. The cafe door chimed as she balanced the heavy tray. Maya glanced up momentarily, distracted by the man who entered, tall with thoughtful eyes and shoulders that carried an invisible weight. In that split second of diverted attention, her ankle twisted slightly on a child's discarded napkin. Time slowed as the cups tilted, hot liquid arcing through the air in an almost beautiful trajectory before landing squarely on the newcomer's pristine white shirt and dark jacket. "Oh my God," Maya gasped, mortification washing over her as coffee dripped from the expensive-looking fabric. "I'm so sorry. I didn't see, I wasn't—" She frantically grabbed napkins, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. This would surely get her fired, and she was already behind on rent for her tiny studio apartment. Instead of the anger she expected, a gentle hand caught her wrist, stopping her frenzied dabbing. "It's all right," said a voice that somehow reminded her of honey and wood smoke. "Really?" Maya looked up, meeting eyes the color of an autumn forest, deep green with flecks of amber. The man's expression held amusement rather than irritation, the corner of his mouth lifting in a half-smile. "I've had worse mornings," he added, accepting the napkins and dabbing at his shirt. "Though I can't say the same for this jacket." "I'll pay for the cleaning," Maya said immediately, though her bank account screamed in protest. "Or replacement, whatever it costs." He studied her for a moment, something unreadable passing across his face. "How about a coffee instead? One that stays in the cup this time." Maya blinked. "You want me to serve you coffee after I just ruined your clothes?" Well, technically, gravity was the culprit. His smile widened, revealing a small dimple in his right cheek. "I'm Ethan." "Maya," she replied automatically, still stunned by his reaction. Sophia appeared with cleaning supplies, her expression shifting from concern to relief when she saw no customer meltdown in progress. "I'm so sorry, sir. Your order is on the house today." Ethan waved away her concern. "Accidents happen. Though I would like to take that table by the window if possible." 20 minutes later, Maya found herself sitting across from Ethan during her break, 2 fresh coffees between them. He'd removed his soiled jacket, rolling up the sleeves of his coffee-stained shirt as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "So you're an artist," he said, nodding toward her sketchpad peeking from her bag. Maya's fingers tightened around her mug. "Trying to be. Currently, I'm more successful at spilling beverages on strangers." His laugh was unexpected and genuine. "We all have our talents." As they talked, Maya found herself drawn to Ethan's attentiveness. Unlike most people who asked about her art out of politeness, he asked questions that showed real interest about her techniques, inspirations, and challenges. "Why birds?" he asked, looking at a sketch of a hummingbird she'd been working on. Maya hesitated, usually private about her motivations. "They're free," she said finally. "They go wherever the wind takes them. No constraints." Ethan's gaze lingered on her face. "Yet they always build nests, don't they? Find somewhere to belong." The observation stirred something in Maya, a recognition she wasn't ready to examine. Her break timer chimed, saving her from responding. "I should get back to work," she said, standing. "When's your next shift?" Ethan asked, his question casual but his eyes intent. Maya paused. "Tomorrow. Same time." "Then I'll need coffee tomorrow, too," he replied simply. As she returned to her duties, Maya found herself glancing toward his table until he eventually left, leaving a generous tip and a business card with a handwritten note. "For when you're ready to let your art take flight." She tucked it into her pocket, unaware that the morning's mishap had just altered the course of both their lives. The proposition. Over the next 2 weeks, Ethan became a Bluebird Cafe regular, always requesting Maya's section and always arriving during her morning shift. Their conversations flowed easily, jumping from art to literature to the small moments that made life meaningful. Maya found herself looking forward to their talks, saving interesting observations from her day to share with him. "You have remarkable insight into people," Ethan commented one morning, watching as Maya sketched an elderly couple at a corner table. She shrugged, adding subtle lines that captured the woman's gentle smile. "I just pay attention. Most people don't really look at each other anymore." "And what do you see when you look at me?" Ethan asked, his voice quieter. Maya glanced up, studying him with an artist's eye. Someone who carries success like it's a burden. Someone who observes before participating. Someone... She hesitated. Lonely, despite being surrounded by people. A flicker of surprise crossed Ethan's face before he masked it with a smile. "That's quite a read from our coffee chats. Am I wrong?" "No," he admitted. "That's what makes it unsettling." Later that afternoon, as Maya was finishing her shift, Ethan returned to the cafe, this time dressed in a tailored suit that highlighted his broad shoulders and confident posture. Several patrons glanced up, recognition dawning on their faces. "Maya," he called, gesturing her over to a table where he'd spread out several glossy brochures. "I have a proposition for you." She approached cautiously, noticing the logo on the materials. "Cole Innovations, one of the largest tech companies in the country." "You work for Cole Innovations?" she asked, sliding into the seat across from him. Ethan's mouth curved in a half-smile. "Not exactly. I founded it." The revelation hit Maya like a physical force. Ethan Cole, of course, the private tech genius whose revolutionary software had changed digital security forever. His face occasionally graced business magazines, though he famously avoided publicity. "You're Ethan Cole," she repeated, feeling suddenly foolish for not recognizing him. "And you've been coming here because, initially, because a beautiful artist spilled coffee on me, and I wanted to know more about her." His eyes held hers steadily. "Now? Because I've seen your work, Maya. It's exceptional." He pushed forward a sleek folder. Inside were photos of her paintings, pieces she'd posted on her barely followed Instagram account, sketches she'd worked on in the cafe. "I'm opening a new innovation center downtown," Ethan continued. "The building has a gallery space specifically designed to showcase emerging artists. I want your work to be the inaugural exhibition." Maya stared at him, waiting for the punchline. "You can't be serious." "Completely serious. Full sponsorship, professional curation, media coverage, opening night gala, everything." "Why?" "There are thousands of artists in this city with more experience, more connections. But their work doesn't move me like yours does." Ethan leaned forward, his intensity almost tangible. "Your paintings capture something essential about connection and isolation that resonates with what we're trying to do at Cole Innovations." Maya's mind raced with possibilities, with dreams she'd barely allowed herself to acknowledge. But suspicion lingered at the edges. "And what do you get out of this arrangement?" she asked. Something flickered in Ethan's eyes. Respect, perhaps. "Smart question. Publicly, Cole Innovations gains cultural credibility by supporting the arts. Privately?" He paused. "I get to help someone remarkable achieve what she deserves." Maya's fingers traced the glossy proposal, her heart pounding. This opportunity could change everything, her career, her life. But she'd worked too hard to become someone's charity project or corporate showpiece. "I need time to think about it," she said finally. Ethan nodded, seemingly unsurprised. "Of course." "But Maya?" His hand briefly covered hers, warm and solid. "This isn't about me doing you a favor. It's about giving people the chance to see what I see when I look at your work." As he left, Maya remained at the table, the proposal before her, torn between opportunity and independence. Outside, rain began to fall, droplets racing down the cafe windows like tears on a canvas, blurring the line between dream and reality. Canvas of truth, the gallery space took Maya's breath away, Soaring ceilings, pristine white walls, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. Her paintings, normally confined to her tiny apartment, would have room to breathe here, to speak to viewers without distraction. "What do you think?" Ethan asked, standing slightly apart as she walked the space, mentally arranging her collection. "It's perfect," she admitted, almost intimidatingly so. In the 3 weeks since she'd accepted his offer, they'd fallen into a new rhythm. Working sessions at her studio where Ethan would bring lunch and watch her paint, offering observations that sometimes frustrated her but always made her think. Weekend walks through museum galleries where they'd challenge each other to find the most moving piece. Late-night phone calls when inspiration struck her, and somehow he was always awake to listen. Today, they were finalizing exhibition details, but Maya's attention kept drifting to Ethan himself. The way sunlight caught in his hair, how his hands moved expressively when discussing something that excited him. "You're staring," he noted, amusement warming his voice. "I'm observing," she corrected. "Artist's prerogative." Ethan moved closer, his presence both comforting and electrifying. "And what are you observing today? That you're different here than at the cafe. More yourself, maybe," he considered this. Most people want something from Ethan Cole, CEO. It's refreshing to be just Ethan with you. The simple honesty of his statement touched something in Maya. On impulse, she reached for his hand, their fingers intertwining naturally. "Come with me," she said suddenly. "There's something I want to show you." They drove to a remote cliffside park overlooking the ocean, a place Maya had discovered years ago when seeking solace after her mother's death. The wind whipped around them as they stood at the railing, the vast expanse of water stretching endlessly before them. "I come here when I need perspective," she explained. "When success or failure starts seeming too important." Ethan nodded, understanding without words. They stood in comfortable silence until he spoke, his voice almost carried away by the wind. "My brother died when I was 19, he said. "Car accident. He was the charismatic one, the one everyone loved instantly. I was the awkward, brilliant kid brother who couldn't hold a conversation." Maya turned to him, seeing the raw vulnerability in his profile. "After he died, I threw myself into coding, into building something meaningful. The company's success happened so fast I barely had time to breathe. Suddenly everyone wanted to know me, to be close to me, but it never felt real." He looked at her then, his eyes reflecting the ocean's depths. "Not until a waitress spilled coffee on me and didn't care who I was." Maya's heart ached for the lonely boy who'd grown into this complex man. "Is that why you're so private? Why you avoid the spotlight?" "Partly," he acknowledged. "But also because I saw how people change around wealth and power, how relationships become transactions." Understanding dawned on Maya. "That's why you were concerned I'd think your offer was charity or had strings attached." Ethan nodded, his shoulder brushing against hers. "I've learned to be careful." "So have I," Maya admitted, thinking of past relationships where her ambition had been treated as cute but unrealistic. "People either want to save me from my artistic dreams or use them for their own purposes." As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the water, Ethan turned to face her fully. His hand rose to gently brush a strand of hair from her face, the touch sending warmth cascading through her. "Maya, His words were interrupted by his phone buzzing insistently. With an apologetic glance, he checked the screen, his expression immediately shifting to concern. "I'm sorry. I have to take this." While he spoke in hurried, quiet tones, Maya's own phone lit up with a news alert. Her stomach dropped as she read the headline. Tech billionaire Ethan Cole's new artistic muse, business strategy or romance. Beneath was a grainy photo of them walking together, his hand at the small of her back as they entered her studio building. When Ethan returned, his face was grim. "You've seen it. Is this going to happen a lot?" she asked, the peace of their moment shattered. "I've managed to avoid it for years, but yes, probably." He ran a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry, Maya. The exhibition will attract attention. And my involvement." Will make people think I'm sleeping my way into the art world, she finished, the thought burning like acid. His expression tightened. We can hire PR to manage the narrative, make it clear this is a professional relationship. The word professional stung more than Maya expected. Is that what this is? Ethan stepped closer, his eyes intense. You know it's more than that. When he kissed her, it felt like finally completing a painting she'd been working on for years, every stroke, every color finding its perfect place. His arms encircled her waist, drawing her against the solid warmth of his chest as the wind and waves became a distant soundtrack to the hammering of her heart. As they parted, breathless and flushed, reality intruded again. Tomorrow there would be more headlines, more speculation, more complications. But tonight, silhouetted against the exhibition, the gallery hummed with conversation and soft classical music as elegantly dressed patrons moved from painting to painting, wine glasses in hand. Maya stood near the entrance in a midnight blue dress that Sophia had helped her choose, watching as strangers experienced her art, her soul laid bare on canvas. They love it, Ethan murmured, appearing at her side with 2 champagne flutes, as they should. He looked devastatingly handsome in his tailored tuxedo, but it was the pride in his eyes when he looked at her work that made Maya's heart swell. Despite her initial reservations, the weeks of preparation had brought them closer, their professional collaboration deepening into something neither could deny. Their kiss at the cliffside had been followed by many others, in the quiet corners of her studio, in the privacy of his sleek penthouse apartment, in the early morning light of her modest bedroom. Each time, Maya felt herself falling deeper, even as warning bells sounded in the back of her mind. Maya Rivera? A woman with sharp eyes and a sharper smile approached, extending a manicured hand. Celeste Montgomery, ArtView magazine. Your work is creating quite a buzz. Thank you, Maya replied, shaking her hand. I'm thrilled people are connecting with it. Indeed. Though one must wonder if the connection is to the art itself or to its influential supporter. Celeste's gaze slid meaningfully to Ethan. Maya felt her smile freeze. My work speaks for itself. Of course, of course. The woman's tone suggested otherwise. Mr. Cole, your interest in supporting emerging artists is recent, isn't it? What specifically drew you to Ms. Rivera's work? Ethan's hand found the small of Maya's back, a steady presence. Her unique perspective on human connection in a digital age resonates with our company's vision. If you'll excuse us, I see the gallery director signaling for us. As they moved away, Maya's insecurities bubbled to the surface. Is that what everyone's thinking? That I'm only here because of you? Don't let one cynical journalist undermine this moment, Ethan said firmly. Your talent got you here, Maya. Before she could respond, they were pulled into separate conversations. Ethan with potential investors, Maya with enthusiastic art lovers. The night progressed in a blur of introductions and congratulations. 3 of her pieces sold, including Disconnected, her favorite painting of a woman surrounded by a crowd yet completely alone. Later, needing a moment of quiet, Maya slipped into a small anteroom off the main gallery. Through the partially open door, she heard familiar voices. Quite the strategic move, Ethan, a male voice was saying. The company gets positive press for supporting the arts, and you get a gorgeous, grateful artist in your bed. Efficient, as always. Maya's blood turned to ice. That's completely inappropriate. Ethan's voice was cold with anger. Maya Rivera is an exceptional artist and a remarkable woman. My personal relationship with her is separate from Cole Innovations' sponsorship. Come on. We've known each other too long for such political correctness. The man laughed. She's pretty, yes, but there are dozens of artists with more impressive credentials. It's obvious why you chose her. This conversation is over, Ethan stated firmly. Maya retreated deeper into the room as footsteps approached, her mind racing. Was that how everyone saw her? A convenient combination of business strategy and personal pleasure for Ethan Cole? Was that how he saw her, despite his denials? When Ethan found her 10 minutes later, her walls were firmly back in place. There you are, he said, reaching for her hand. Are you all right? I'm fine, she replied, stepping back. Just needed some air. His brow furrowed. Maya, what's wrong? Nothing. Everything's going perfectly according to plan, isn't it? Your company looks philanthropic. The media's intrigued, and everyone's talking about the mysterious artist you've discovered. Understanding dawned in his eyes. You heard, Richard. Maya. He's an old college friend who doesn't know when to shut up. Nothing he said reflects reality, doesn't it? Her voice trembled slightly. 3 months ago, I was a nobody serving coffee. Now I'm having a sold-out exhibition because Ethan Cole decided I was worth his attention. How am I supposed to know what's real anymore? Pain flashed across his face. Us. This is real. He gestured between them. Everything else, the exhibition, the publicity, those were just vehicles to get your art the recognition it deserves. But that's just it, Maya said, the realization crystallizing as she spoke. I wanted to earn that recognition myself, not have it handed to me because of who I'm sleeping with. Ethan flinched as if she'd slapped him. Is that what you think this is? Tears threatened, but Maya held them back. I don't know anymore. And that's the problem. I need space to figure out what's mine and what's this. She gestured around them. Maya, please. I have to go. Tell everyone I wasn't feeling well. She gathered her small clutch purse. Congratulations on a successful exhibition launch, Mr. Cole. She left him standing there, her heart breaking with every step, uncertain if she was walking away from the biggest mistake or the greatest deception of her life. Part 5. Masterpiece. 6 months passed like watercolors bleeding into paper. Maya's career flourished despite, or perhaps because of, the dramatic conclusion to her exhibition opening. The art world loved scandal almost as much as it loved talent, and she had provided both. With the money from her sold paintings and a small business loan, Maya had achieved another dream, opening a combination cafe gallery called Canvas and Cup, where emerging artists could display their work while patrons enjoyed excellent coffee. The irony wasn't lost on her. Coffee had changed her life twice now. She hadn't seen Ethan since that night, though not for his lack of trying. Calls, texts, even letters, all respectfully acknowledging her request for space while making his feelings clear. She'd returned the most extravagant gifts, but kept his letters in a box she pretended not to open on lonely nights. Sophia, now managing the cafe portion of Canvas and Cup, placed a steaming mug on the counter beside Maya. You're staring at that empty wall space again. I'm visualizing, Maya corrected, though they both knew she was lying. The prominent wall had remained empty since opening day, as if waiting for something specific. Visualization looks a lot like moping these days. Sophia crossed her arms. Have you seen the news? Maya's heart jumped. What news? Cole Innovations is relocating their headquarters to London. It's all over the business channels. The information hit like a physical blow. London, an ocean away. She managed a nonchalant shrug. Good for them. International expansion makes sense. Sophia rolled her eyes. For someone who paints emotions so well, you're terrible at processing your own. You miss him. It doesn't matter, Maya insisted. What we had wasn't real. Couldn't be, with the power imbalance. And now, you're successful on your own terms. The power imbalance excuse is getting pretty thin. Before Maya could respond, the cafe door chimed. A delivery person entered carrying an easel-sized package wrapped in brown paper. Delivery for Maya Rivera. After signing, Maya carried the package to a quiet corner, her hands trembling slightly as she recognized the handwriting on the attached note. For the wall that's still empty. Carefully, she unwrapped it to reveal a painting, not one of hers, but unmistakably about her. It showed the interior of Bluebird Cafe, the moment coffee had spilled between them, captured from Ethan's perspective. The artist had rendered Maya in vibrant colors while the surrounding cafe was muted, as if she were the only real thing in a gray world. The skill was surprising, the emotion behind it unmistakable. A second note was taped to the back. My first and last painting. Some moments change everything. I leave for London tomorrow, but wanted you to know that meeting you was my masterpiece. Maya stood frozen, the magnitude of what she might lose crashing over her. All these months, she'd convinced herself their connection had been circumstantial, Billionaire meets struggling artist. A cliché rather than kismet. But standing before tangible proof of how he'd seen her from the very beginning, her carefully constructed walls crumbled. "Sophia," she called, already reaching for her coat. "Watch the cafe. I have somewhere to be." Across town, Ethan supervised the packing of his penthouse, directing movers with distracted efficiency, each item being carefully wrapped. And boxed represented another tie to this city being severed. This city where he'd found and lost the only person who'd seen past his wealth to the man beneath. His assistant approached with a tablet. "Sir, the London office needs approval on these security protocols before—" "Not now," Ethan interrupted, uncharacteristically sharp. "Tomorrow." A commotion at the door drew his attention. Maya stood in his entryway, slightly breathless, still holding the painting, facing down his startled security team. "Maya," he said, her name both question and answer. "Your perspective needs work," she said, stepping forward and holding up the painting. "The light source is inconsistent and my nose doesn't look like that." A smile tugged at his lips despite himself. "Art criticism wasn't what I expected for our goodbye." "I'm not here to say goodbye." She set the painting down carefully, then moved closer. "I'm here because I've spent 6 months proving to myself that I can succeed on my own. That I don't need Ethan Cole, billionaire, to make my dreams come true." Hope flickered in his eyes. "And